Hello, this is Curly's Vinyl. We're back. We're on YouTube. Hope you can like and subscribe to our channel. We talk about our favorite vinyl records and some rock history and some interesting facts. I'm Curly, and my producer and cameraman is Eli. Say hi, Eli.
Hi.
And we are here today to talk about one of my favorite bands. So I pulled some vinyl records and CDs. Yes, I still listen to CDs of one of my favorites that I'm going to talk about today. So the band I'm going to talk about today is Big Star. You may know them, you may not. So I'm going to talk about them today. If not, you should listen to them because they're a really good band. So some people call them the 70's Beatles. So if you like the Beatles, you'll probably like these guys. So a little bit of a history lesson. This is the Box Tops. Some of you may know the Box Tops from one song. Their famous song was called The Letter. But they were kind of an overproduced band. And their singer was a 16-year-old guy who is right there. His name's Alex Chilton. So this was his first band. So you probably heard The Letter before on the radio. And it was from, I think, 1965. It was early on. So we'll see their awesome shirts on the back of this record. So that group didn't last long, though. Alex left them. He was too talented for this band. So he left the Box Tops and formed Big Star. Big Star never really became a big hit or a popular band back then. I don't know why. They recorded in Memphis, and they recorded at a studio called Stax in Arden. Stax was big in like blues and soul, so they're kind of a famous record label for that. But that's where they recorded. So they have a little bit of soul, a little bit of pop, a little bit of the Beatles you'll hear. So Alex went and formed his own band, and he found a partner in crime. His name was Chris Bell. He was an excellent songwriter too. So if Alex Chilton was the Paul McCartney, Chris Bell was kind of the John Lennon. So this is their CD I have of their first two albums. I can't recommend probably a CD, or finding these on vinyl would be really difficult because they're not around. They didn't sell well in the early 70s. But if you could find this on vinyl, it would be a really good find. But this is their first two albums on CD. So they call themselves Big Star after a supermarket down south in Tennessee that was called Big Star. So you'll see this is their first two albums. The first album was called Number One Record. So you have to be bold and you have to be good to title your first album Number One Record, even though it never hit number one. And their second album was called Radio City. Alex, right there, broke away from Chris Bell. Chris Bell went and had his own solo career, and he died shortly after that. But Alex continued on. So Alex did their whole second record called Radio City. So you'll see on the back, it's the two albums on one CD. So if you've watched that 70's show, you'll know Big Star. They sang the theme to that 70's show. It's called In the Street. So that might be where you recognize Big Star from. But these albums, Radio City and Number One Record, were recorded in 1973 and 72. So it's pretty early on stuff. So there's lots of good songs on here, like 13, Try Again, Watch the Sunrise, Oh My Soul is a popular one. Daisy Glaze is one of my favorites. So this is their first two albums on one CD. It's very good. I think I found this at Tower Records a lot of years ago. So this is their third album. It's called Third. Imagine that. or it's also called Sister Lovers. Eli, do you know why it's called Sister Lovers?
Nope.
They're two members at that time, Alex and their other member, I think it's Andy. They both dated sisters at the time. So they dated sisters, so that's why it's called that. This album was never released at its time because the record label thought it was such a different album. This album can be a little dark, can be a little depressing sometimes, but I really love the sound of it. It's also on one of my favorite record labels called Rykodisc from Canada. Rykodisc, they always put bonus tracks on all their CDs too. And you can tell it's a Rykodisc CD by the bluish tint on the CD case. So this is their third album called Third. So this has some good songs on it too. They have a few covers on here, but mostly original songs. They have a Velvet Underground cover called Femme Fatale, which is good. And a lot of people have covered these songs that Alex wrote for Big Star. So that's their third album. I found this a few years ago. This is from WYSO. That's the radio station at Antioch in Yellow Springs, Ohio, where we're from. So I was glad to find this. I've never really seen this CD or album before. This is a live album from Live Things. It's called Live. Imagine that. And you'll see the radio letters on the front. So this is from Rykodisc also. So this is a good one too. This is from 1992. So it took like 20 years for them to put this out on CD. So has a lot of their hits on it. Has a funny interview. Has a lot of their best songs. So glad to find that. So this is probably their best kind of anthology kind of album or CD here. Has a lot of their early things. It has a lot of their hits. It has some demos. It has a live CD. This is called Keep an Eye on the Sky. So this one's pretty good too. It's 4 discs. So if you're really invested in them and like their first 2 records, I would recommend this. So this is Alex after he broke away from Big Star. After their third record, he broke away and had a great solo career. So he was in New York City in February 13th, 1997. Pretty close to the date today in February of 97. He was about to play a set, but a thunderstorm went through and it knocked out the power in the venue he was in. So even though the power got knocked out, he and a lot of the people left, he still played an acoustic set outside in the darkness with like people brought in lights and stuff. So he didn't do any Big Star songs. He was kind of past that at this point, but he did some really good Beach Boys covers on this album, which I like. So this is some of Alex's solo stuff. So that's why this album is called Electricity by Candlelight. So they lit candles and he did an acoustic set. So he did a really good version of Wouldn't It Be Nice and Surfer Girl on this CD. So this one's pretty good too. As I said, their albums would be very difficult to find on vinyl because they didn't sell well in the early 70s. But these are a couple of their reissues. This is Nothing Can Hurt Me. There was a documentary on the band, and this is the soundtrack to that. So this is from Record Store Day not a couple years ago. This was a lot of years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago. So it has some pretty cool liner information in it. And it's 2 albums and they're on orange vinyl, which is very cool. So it has some of their demos, some of their songs. It's from Omnivore Recordings, which they come out with some pretty good things on vinyl. So that's Big Star, Nothing Can Hurt Me. That documentary is very good too if you want to learn more about the band. And my last thing I got to show is, this is from Record Store Day a couple years ago too. Big Star started to become popular in the 90s. No one liked it in the 70s and 80s. But in the 90s, they started to become popular and have a little bit of a cult following. They were followed by like REM, and Jeff Buckley liked them, and a lot of other kind of alternative indie bands like them. So when they started to become more popular, people tried to get them to different kinds of venues and things. So the University of Missouri got them to play in 1993, a live set. So that's what this is. And they brought in a couple different band members on this one, but this one's really good too. Got this one on Record Store Day, so see the nice ceiling fan. So this is my review of Big Star. I highly recommend this band. They're a band that a lot of people don't know, but might have heard a few of their songs. So I think you should go out and buy one of their albums and see if you like that. So they're kind of power pop, they're kind of soul, they've got catchy songs, and I think you'll like it. So again, I'm Curly, this is Curly's Vinyl, and we hope you'll come back and visit us next time. Thank you, bye.